Welcome to episode 14 of Web3 Crypto and the Law podcast. Today we're talking about what regulations will rise from the ashes of FTX. And more specifically, we're going to look at the potential passing of the Stablecoin Transparency Act. So let's get started. With the recent collapse of FTX and the ensuing fallout, the calls for crypto regulation are as loud as ever. In an attempt to quell these calls, there will certainly be some reaction from officials in the US. Although additional crypto regulation and clarity has been discussed by the government for some time, this current fiasco would likely result in the process being expedited with some measure of regulation being passed in the near term. So let's talk about some background on what's happened, just in case you've been living under a rock recently. So for those not familiar with the FTX collapse, here's a short overview. There's lots of good information online, so to get some more details, go ahead and just Google FTX collapse, and there'll be plenty of articles that can walk you through it in more detail than we have time for here. But in early November 2022, CoinDesk reported that FTX was using customer assets to prop up Alameda Research. And Alameda Research is owned by FTX's CEO, Sam Bankman-Fried. So you can already see some of the issues. The report further suggested that Alameda Research was in trouble as its largest asset was billions of dollars worth of FTX's token. So the token that FTX has created, FTT. This commingling of funds led Binance, a viable crypto exchange platform, to sell 500 million of FTT. This caused FTX customers to, one, worry if FTX would have the requisite liquidity, and two, withdraw assets en masse. The result was a liquidity crunch for FTX and a crash of the FTT token. On November 11, 2022, FTX and its approximately 130 affiliated companies filed for bankruptcy protection, with $1 billion vanishing from the exchange. This contagion has led many crypto CEOs, politicians, and investors to call for stricter regulation of crypto in the US. But what does that even mean? What potential regulations could we see coming out of this? It's all well and good for politicians to call for action to try and pacify crypto investors, but what are some actual regulations that we could see in the short term? Well, when people talk about regulation in crypto, they're usually referencing the regulation of either one, specific crypto tokens and projects, or two, third-party intermediaries such as centralized crypto exchanges like FTX. Recently, the calls for regulation and clarity have focused on specific tokens or projects and whether or not they are securities. A prime example of this being the SEC's legal action against Ripple Labs and its token XRP. Although clarity on whether tokens are securities or commodities is needed, I doubt the FTX fallout will see officials put additional focus on this issue. First, with the issue already before the courts, a knee-jerk reaction to regulate this issue seems unlikely. Second, I think regulators will now focus on the regulation of centralized exchanges, as the contagion effect when the centralized exchange falls is vast in comparison to that of a specific token. And centralized exchanges hold an interesting place in crypto. The original purpose of crypto was to facilitate the peer-to-peer transfer of money without the need for an intermediary, like a central exchange. However, the entrance for many people now into crypto is through a central exchange. These central exchanges have become a key piece in the crypto puzzle, as they allow investors to easily buy, sell, trade, and send crypto. Accordingly, they hold vast amounts of investor wealth. In fact, it was recently reported that Binance holds 74.7 billion worth of tokens. Of this, 23 billion are in BUSD, the stable coin, and another 6.4 billion is in his own Binance coin. It is because of the wealth that's centralized in these exchanges and because of the key role that they play in the crypto ecosystem that I think regulators are going to focus on these exchanges going forward. What they want to do is to prevent another FTX. They want to prevent another centralized exchange from collapsing and with it, losing $1 billion of investor money. And one way the government may try to regulate centralized exchanges is through the Stablecoin Transparency Act. The STA, Stablecoin Transparency Act, was introduced to the Senate in March 2022, and although it has not been passed, would require stablecoins to be fully backed by non-digital currency or government securities. Further, the stablecoin issuer would be required to publish monthly audited reports detailing their reserve holdings. Although the STA may not have prevented the collapse of FTX, it would help to prevent the crash of algorithmic stablecoins and the associated fallout, like we saw with the Terra Luna and Celsius issues back in the summer. Further, the STA could be used as a first step to legislating that centralized exchanges be required to show proof of reserve or proof of backing. In fact, in the wake of FTX collapsing, many major exchanges are voluntarily providing proof of reserve by providing the lists of their wallets and promising full audits. Accordingly, it would not be hard to see the government capitalizing on this momentum and to legislate something that the industry is already doing. At minimum, by legislating proof of reserve, consumers could better understand the risks they are taking on by using these centralized exchanges. And so to wrap this up, there's no doubt the crypto industry has been shaken by the FTX collapse, especially so soon after what happened with Celsius. But hopefully this is not for naught, and the collapse will push forward regulations that will make the space safer and allow for it to become more mainstream. Again, this is for entertainment purposes only. This is not legal or financial advice, but I hope you learned something, and we hope to see you back for our next podcast in a week or so. Have a great day.